couple wins on the bounce for Hartford Athletic certainly provided for buoyant spirits. Welcome to tonight's telecast presented by Barberino Nissan of Hartford Athletic. It's home game number 2 of the regular season 4-game homestand beginning tonight. They welcome Ottawa Fury, the Canadian side, sitting in playoff position in the East. Hi, folks. Mike Watts, Chris Nurse on hand for this one. Chris, when you struggle so much at the start of an expansion season, finally getting a win in the Open Cup against the Cosmos and then against Loudoun is really giving some confidence here. Yeah, you know, it's an old cliche that goals can change games, but wins can also change the course of the season. Being able to pick up a big win against New York Cosmos and then pick up a second win against Loudoun, you know, that would have kick-started their season. Hopefully they can build on that this evening. Hartford with a couple goals from Jose Angulo last time out, and it's a guy Jimmy Nielsen knows well. He trusts him. You've played against him. You know how tough he is. Yeah, Angulo's a fantastic finisher. Anything in and around the box is likely to end up in the back of the net. He's struggled with injuries over the past season, but the coach has put a lot of trust in him, and he'll be looking to repay that faith over the course of the season. Angulo, one of the better goal scorers in the USL Championship over the last half-decade. Meanwhile, Sam, new commodity. A lot of people don't know much about him, but the last 3 games he's been very good. Yeah, the coach has spoken that that's his number 9 in his team, how important he is to the way the team plays. He's an important factor in the team, and over the past couple of games, he's got a couple of goals and a couple of assists, and it'll be interesting if he can continue with that hot form this evening. Well, Nikola Popovic thinks he fits this team just like a glove. Will he be able to find a goal on the road to keep Ottawa moving up the standings, or will Hartford get out of the basement tonight? Hartford and Ottawa lineups and kickoff are coming up after this. Hartford Athletic, 4 points. If they get to 7, they'll be out of the basement in the Eastern Conference. Tonight's telecast presented by Barberino Nissan. Another game at Rentschler Field in Hartford. Ottawa, the team that stands in the way here tonight with Chris Nurse, Mike Watts. Look at the starting lineups, and we begin with Hartford Athletic. And Frederick Douay moves back into the starting lineup for Jimmy Nielsen. Gadula gets his first pro start as well. Yeah, the main player we're looking at in this is Angulo, you know, getting that big goal to take his team to a 2-1 victory in the last game. He's the man who can turn this season around for them so far. If he starts to hit a hot patch of goal scoring, he can really be the catalyst for changing the course of the season for Hartford. Meanwhile, Ottawa Fury under Nikola Popovic, year number 2 for the Fury head coach. And their lineup only includes one change. Nana Adekora moves to the bench. Dakota Barnathan, who's with him previously at Swope Park, into the starting 11. Who do you like here? Yeah, I like Sam. You know, we spoke a little bit about him pre-game, but, you know, I like the formation that Ottawa play. They play with the 4-3-3, which allows them to be a little bit more free-flowing in the way that they move the ball and gives them a little bit more option in the attacking third.
Hartford opting for the 4-4-2, you know, a little bit regiment, more defensive, being organised and disciplined, whereas Ottawa Fury 4-3-3 a little bit more open and expansive in the way they play.
And Francois and Oliveira both impressive, to say the least, on those wings. Well, Hartford's facing a real tough test tonight in this Ottawa side. In years past, they really haven't started very well out of the gate. That's all changed under Nikola Popovich this year, and this tweet this week I thought really explained it quite well. This is way, way better than they've started historically.
Yeah, this is the best start they've had. But everybody loves the underdogs. And Hartford, you know, they're heavily underdogs in this game. They're coming off the back of two wins. So, you know, they're very confident now. You know, their season could be changing. Ottawa, on the other hand, they also have, you know, they could be victim of their own confidence, whereas they try to underestimate their opponent. So it's going to be a very, very interesting game from both different standpoints from both teams.
Tyler, we promise we're going to follow you. I know that it wasn't lit up, but you'll earn a follow or two off of that. So with this Ottawa team, they like to possess the ball, and you think about the surface at Pratt & Whitney Stadium, wide open, great manicured surface, grass. This is an Ottawa fever dream to be able to have this kind of surface. They played really well on it against Bethlehem in Philadelphia last week.
Yeah, if you look at the surface and the size of this pitch, it allows them to play slick passing football on the floor. It also allows, with the width of the pitch, to be able to switch play and open up holes in the defensive team. And, you know, it's a dream for Ottawa, the style that they play, to play on a surface like this. But this is the home stadium for Hartford, and, you know, they want to stamp their authority being the whole team. They don't want to allow Ottawa to come here and maintain the possession and dictate the play. As the home team, you know, they have to take responsibility for that.
It's a nice crowd again for this second home game at Rentschler Field before Dillon Stadium is completed. Hartford, first touch of the game, will move right to left on your screen. An important game, the first of 4 consecutive at home for Hartford Athletic to try and turn their season around.
And you wonder if Coach Jimmy was possibly playing, you know, some mind games before the build-up to this fixture by giving Ottawa the crown as, you know, announcing them as maybe the best team in the league. You know, is he playing mind games with them, allowing them to get that full sense of security before the fixture?
We'll find out. Said, if not the best, one of the best in the league so far this year. It's with Hartford. They do make a change in their back line. Nikolai Linga did pick up a groin injury after what was an up and down endeavor last week against Loudon. Douay knocks it away. Field for Swartz. Sam driving inside. Douay knocks it aside.
And there you can see the strength that Ottawa have in the flanks with that 4-3-3 formation. When their wingers get on the ball in 1v1 situations, they're very strong driving with the ball, taking players on in 1v1 situations and putting the ball into the box. That's where a lot of their success comes from.
Martin leading it forward. Hartford into the final third. Knock back. Wojcik deflects and will roll well wide. Corner coming for Hartford. Wide open first 100 ticks.
Yeah, I think the goalkeeper would be happy to see that one go wide at the post. You could see him a little bit concerned when that ball deflected and went over his head, but he'd be happy to see it go for a corner.
Mass Jorgensen, 20-year-old Dane, take the corner 2 minutes in. Jorgensen to the near post and steered away by Ottawa.
Yeah, no real threat from that set piece there. Oh, we have 3 big bodies in and around the near post area, and the corner kick was just unable to get past them.
Dalgard dispossessed, gets it back. Dalgard! That'll ricochet into the air, headed back across toward Angulo, caught by Callum Irving.
Yeah, and Hartford start this game very positive. You know, they're by no means sitting back, allowing Ottawa to possess the ball and dictate the tempo of play. Coach Nielsen spoke during the week about how they've always had a mountain to climb by going down a goal. You know, in this game, they want to be the aggressors. They want to try to take the lead rather than always trying to have to come back from being a goal behind. And they've started off early in this game with that intent.
Skies up, Swartz. Swartz is through! Oh, he hit the post! How in the world? And Gagnon LaPerre clears.
Wow, Swartz has done unbelievable with it. Just his determination to not give up on the ball. You know, he's fighting against the defender. You can see him here using his strength and power to body his way through. Defender tries to drag him back just off the inside of the post, and very unlucky not to get himself on the score sheet there and put his team 1-0 ahead.
All right, we got a game, Chris.
Yeah, I think it's a wake-up call for Ottawa. You know, they realize they're in for a challenge against a team that finds themselves, you know, in the lower end of the table. By no means are going to roll over this evening.
That is a foul, jumping over the top. Logan Gadula making his pro debut at left center back. He was viewed as a right back in Phoenix and in Cincinnati, but slots into that center back role tonight.
Yeah, and this is obviously a situation where Hartford need to be very careful. Set pieces, always an area where concentration is the most important thing. You know, playing against Ottawa, a very organized, disciplined team, having the success they've had in the early stages of this game, they don't want to go and concede from a set piece so in this situation.
Carl Howarth behind the ball. Oh, it's dangerous, bouncing all the way through. Mayor Giger was closest. Really nobody got a touch.
And that was a fantastic teasing delivery there. You could just see it directly across the face of the goal. Just nobody attacked it at the right time, but that's a beautiful delivery there from Haworth.
When you talk to Nikola Popovich, the head coach for Ottawa, he was at Swope before that, and he's coached in half a dozen countries. Talks about being dangerous everywhere, and he really underscored set pieces. When you've got a guy who serves like that, I mean, you're playing with house money every time you get a set piece.
Yeah, when you have a player who can deliver the ball with that level of quality, you know, it makes your set pieces a huge part of winning games. You know, you can play well, but games can often be won and lost just on the basis of defending or attacking a set piece very well. For all the build-up play and possession that you can have, games can be won from set pieces, so a very, very integral part of the play.
DeVitt knocks that over everybody. Howarth tosses in the longest tenured member of the Fury. We'll talk about being there through thick and thin, but he used to be a forward. They moved him to that outside back, the continuation of the new concept of the modern outside back, whatever that means.
Yeah, I think you're fine. As the game's developing, the skills and the tactics and the technique of players allows them to play multiple positions. You know, what used to be an attacking midfielder has now become your defensive midfielders. And what used to be your defensive midfielders has now become your centre backs. So all across the field now, you're seeing players who are technically capable of playing in a number of positions.
And your centre backs playing goalkeeper.
Exactly. You know, the feet of goalkeepers now, the goalkeepers can play like midfielders. You know, I think, you know, that's just the evolution of the game.
How many positions are you comfortable playing?
One.
Okay. Wall Fall steers it aside. 6.5 minutes in, it's been a real fun start to this one at Rentschler Field. Ottawa into the final third. Coming off a 3-0 win at Bethlehem Steel, Talon Energy Stadium in Philly last weekend. Brendan Burke, the head coach for the Steel, felt like they could have been up a couple goals after 20, but then Ottawa took over, never let go of the reins. Ricochet over to Colin Martin. Just played against Hertha Berlin for Minnesota United. It was unclear whether he'd be able to start tonight.
Yeah, and there we just saw, you know, Ottawa possessing the ball. Then the ball turned over very quickly, and exactly what's happening now. The forwards kickstart the defense by closing down the attackers.
Sam. Oh, that's a good recovery by Gadula after what could have been a catastrophic turnover.
Yeah, Ottawa are very good in possession of the ball, but when it does turn over, the forwards are the first players to put that pressure onto defense to try and win the ball back.
Well, the wind is really whipping tonight. Temperatures in the mid-60s. There's rain in the forecast, but that's a couple hours after this one should be complete. Bank of America corner kick. Free header is up and over from Wall Fall.
And there again, we're seeing those quality deliveries from set pieces. That's another very, very good delivery into the box there. Allworth again with the outswinging corner. Forward just unlucky to be able to direct that one on goal, but that's a wake-up call for Hartford. You know, they don't want to be conceding any kind of free kicks or corners in and around the area, because Hartford have very, very dangerous deliveries. Ottawa have dangerous deliveries.
Dewey will step away. Turns now. Hartford Athletic would like to extend a special thank you to our title partner, Trinity Health of New England. Dewey's second start of the season. One opportunity, really did struggle at times, looked a little rusty. Jacob Lissick's been the man the other 8 games for Hartford so far this year. If he's rusty, he's certainly not showing any concern going for it.
He's done a good job to come off his line up there and just clean it up in a kind of sweeper role.
Nice turn by Angulo. Wojcik.
And this is a team, you can see how they're not short on confidence right now, Hartford. You know, we spoke about the wins being able to change a season. You can see the players are playing with their chest pushed out at the moment. You know, they're confident, they're at home in front of their home fans and their home stadium. You know, they're not going to this game believing that they're the underdogs at all.
Lee sent the service. Came right back to him. Couldn't find Dalgard. And Jorgensen will knock it back to DeVitt. You think back to the last game even. Open header at 58 minutes. Loudon doesn't convert. A couple minutes later, Hartford gets on the board. Great response. Give up an own goal. It was, well, painful to say the least for Linga. And then you get another goal. You win the game. I'm not sure a month ago they would have done that. And the confidence from Cosmos was one thing Jimmy Nielsen pointed to is spurring the team onward.
And especially the timing of the goal. You know, it's 1-1 and the winning goal comes in the 89th minute, you know, at the very end of the game. You know, those moments can be season changing for a team.
There's Callum Irving. Guy who sat behind Maxime Crépeau, who had a phenomenal year last year on loan from Montreal Impact. Irving was largely relegated to a backup role. They felt like he was a fantastic pro, trained well. He's won the job back.
Yeah, and playing in a winning team, you know, that also always helps to keep your position in the team. Coaches very rarely like to change a winning lineup. They do occasionally, but they believe in the dynamic, the cohesion, you know, the way the team gels together. And when a team's winning, they don't really like to tamper with the players too much. So as long as the team keeps winning, his position's fairly safe.
Chris, the problem was when they didn't win, it's because they only scored 31 goals last year. Those 15th in the East. You don't yank the goalkeeper for that.
Of course.
Well, if a Dalgard who knocks it away from Howarth, throw here for Hartford. Martin tries to play through Dalgard. Dalgard laying it across. That hit the tee of the crossbar and post. It was offside beforehand regardless. Boy, is it going to be one of those nights for Hartford. That post has been struck twice now.
Yeah, you hope not, but you can see that they're very confident going forward, and that's 2 or 3 good chances that they've had now to get themselves in the lead and onto the score sheet.
Wind got a hold of that one.
Both teams just feeling each other out now. Just got a little bit scrappy over the past couple of minutes. Neither team really putting their foot on the ball and dictating the game with possession. It's been an open 15 minutes of the first half. and it's going to be probably dictated by who's able to get that opening goal. I would say that Hartford have been the more aggressive, but we know the weapons that Ottawa Fury possess. You know, they're a very good team, and they can change the course of the game at any moment.
Wojcik. Trying to get that back heel to come off a second time. It's Dalgaard here. 3 years in the Danish First Division, 53 games in Oklahoma. Back to Gadula, who's tugged down. Flag up, player came from an offside position. Wojcik. Dalgaard sprinting up the wing, Angulo down the middle. Dalgaard crossing, wasn't going to find Angulo, that had to be elevated. Wojcik keeps it alive. Jorgensen! Another long-range chance for Hartford in these opening 15 minutes.
Number of good attacking opportunities here for Hartford. See Dalgaard drive round, not the best delivery into the box with his left foot. Angulo was making the run towards the far post, and the ball came in the center, but a very, very close strike there on the second occasion, and goalkeeper was scrambling across his line. Happy to see that one go wide of the upright.
Chris, 15 minutes into this game, you'd be hard-pressed to tell me that one team is in last in the East and the other team is in sixth.
But I think what we have to be careful of is Hartford had a number of chances, but they haven't taken any of them. You know, they don't want to get sucker punched by a team that's more clinical in front of goal. You know, having 4, 5, 6 chances, they need to make Ottawa pay for these chances they're creating, because it only takes one chance for Ottawa to possibly get themselves into the game and into the lead.
Howarth short-armed it. Angulo did just sneak over the line, didn't it? There's Nikola Popovic near side of your screen. Bright fury red jacket tonight.
Something that Coach Nelson mentioned in his comments in the week was teaching his team to play with a style and to play well, but also to play well and pick up points. You know, if we were to judge the opening 15 minutes, yes, they played well. But at the moment, you know, they're not in a position where they're picking up the points that they quite deserve. To be able to do that, they need to be clinical in front of goal and finish these chances.
Dalgaard tried to whip that ball into the corner. That's the thing. I was asking Jimmy Nielsen, I said, hey, you sleeping a little better this week? And now you got a couple wins under your belt? He said, not really, because now I've got that hunger. I want a little bit more, and you can tell that's carried over. There wasn't any head down. We lost again this week. They went right into it. I think that's large in part shown.
Yeah, but I think you know, you can kind of tell from the sound in the microphones, the wind's going to play a big impact in this game.
Slid back to Irving. 2 players on rushing. Out of the reach of Ray Lee. Hartford Athletic would like to recognize the Hartford and all of its founding partners for the 2019 season. Thanks for joining us tonight. Hartford looking to keep the positive vibes going against an Ottawa side that is playing probably their best football under Nikola Popovic. There he is. Led Swope Park to the USL Cup final, lost to Louisville back in 2017. Born in Belgrade, raised in Portugal, coached in a half dozen countries, fluent in 5 languages, but feels he could get by with a few more.
5 languages, that's a lot. You know, you can tell he's a guy that likes to study, and you know, he pays a lot of attention to the detail in the way that his team plays, how he analyzes the game, how he analyzes the players that he brings into the environment. You know, I imagine these players are always on edge because he's probably analyzing every single instance of training, matches, body language.
All caught between Martin's feet. And here's Manella. He's fouled. Barnathan. Ward drops in. Mayor Giguère. For the Fury, it was 8 hours on the bus to get to Hartford, crossing the northern border. Pinged over the top and out of the reach of the expeditiously speedy Cristiano Francois. Two-way. There's Giguère, can't get this away at first glance. On the whistle, Mayor Giguère pushed down from behind.
Not sure I saw any kind of push down from behind there.
Boy, Douay's got some power on that.
Yeah, but I think, as I was mentioning earlier, I think the wind is playing a big factor in how this ball's traveling.
Wall Fall will step aside. Well, here he is again, that really cultured foot of Howarth.
Yeah, we've seen him put some very dangerous balls into the box early on in this game, and there's another opportunity.
Here's Howarth, from PDL to NASL to USL Championship, all with one organization. Francois got by Lee. Francois crossing, popped up, and hit on the line in by Moore Sam. Gorgeous finish. Ottawa ahead in the 22nd.
And we spoke about getting sucker punch Hartford. You know, the 5, 6, 7 good chances that they've created in the opening 20 minutes of this game. It just took one moment of brilliance from Ottawa to find themselves ahead. A fantastic delivery that wasn't dealt with well, but what a finish. There you see out wide, manages to get past the defender. Fantastic delivery, look, gave the keeper all kinds of problems. Up in the air, beautiful left foot volley into the bottom corner there from Sam.
Goals in 3 consecutive games for Moore Sam. If you continue to score like that, I think he'd fit any team like a glove.
And that's not an easy finish, that. The ball's coming down from up in the air, and he's timed it perfectly and guided it into the bottom corner. The keeper stood no chance, and that's the exact situation that we spoke about earlier. Hartford had the opportunities to be ahead in this game and now find themselves 1 goal behind with a mountain to climb once again.
That sounds exactly like how Bethlehem felt when they faced Ottawa last week. 20 minutes, front foot, feel good, and then you concede. In last week's case, it was the 32nd minute. This game, the 22nd minute. You wonder what the heck happened.
Yep.
Delgard skipping in. Delgard crossing. It's over the top. Schwartz couldn't get there, and Wall Fall launches the other way.
And, you know, we spoke earlier about, you know, if you were watching the opening 50 minutes, you wouldn't be able to tell who was top and who was bottom of the league. But that's what it boils down to, being clinical in front of goal. One opportunity, one goal. The team that's bottom on the league, on the other hand, has had 5 or 6 and unable to penetrate the net.
Wojcik. Ball takes a deflection and Gulo's coming. There, Giguère tied up with Angulo.
And now you just see Ottawa, you know, very content now to control the tempo of the game. They're in the lead. No need to rush going forward now. Now they're just keeping possession, making Hartford have to do a lot of running by chasing the ball outside of having possession of the ball themselves. And now you see there's no real urgency to try and get the ball forward. And just that goal has completely changed the momentum of the game for the past couple of minutes. A game where Hartford were the more aggressive team, now find themselves a goal behind.
Howarth, good touch inside. Howarth finds the space. Manella, won't fall. You think of this in a territorial sense, everything's been pushed into the final third with just one really good pass and touch.
Yeah, and they're moving the ball fairly quickly. You know, everything is 1 and 2 touches with Ottawa. You know, they're moving the ball very quickly from side to side through the midfield, moving Hartford's players around now, and this is something that they weren't doing so fluidly before they got that opening goal.
Francois.
Now, if you were to ask me about the disparity, you know, Ottawa probably just made close to 30 passes without giving away possession of the ball.
How frustrating is this as a player where you feel like you had a good 20 minutes and now you're chasing shadows across the field?
It's exactly that. They've just spent the past 120 seconds running from side to side without getting a touch on the ball. And this is the differentiating factor between, you know, different teams and how they play. Ottawa are very comfortable just keeping possession without really trying to force and create a goal-scoring opportunity. You know, many other teams, after 2 or 3 passes, they get frustrated and try to force the goal-scoring opportunity and give away possession. Ottawa are being very patient, just keeping the ball moving. And what they don't realize by doing that is it tires out the team that's not in possession, because all they're doing is running and chasing. The team in possession, able to conserve their energy. So now when they're attacking, they have more energy, more speed, more endurance, because they haven't spent the past 10 minutes chasing the ball.
And Dalgard dig deep here. Oh, that was a pretty friendly deflection. Dalgard's arrived. Barnathan going back. Dalgard trying to knock that across the grain.
Yeah, and if you're the forward now for Hartford, you'd be anticipating where Dalgard's going to put that ball, because he's made that same drive with the ball 2 or 3 times now and delivered the ball to exactly the same spot. You know, Angulo needs to anticipate where that ball's going to come, get across the defender, and he has a good opportunity of getting a goal in that situation. But nobody's making that run when Dalgard's delivered that ball now twice with his left foot.
Ball played ahead, Oliveira. He goes down, went way too easily to draw a penalty.
Yeah, I think he just lost his foot in there and slipped more so than a foul. He did give the referee a glance. But I think he's honest with himself. There's no contact there. He's just gone down.
Laurent Varga was onto that. Oh, that back heel. Very nice. Wojcik. Angulo hoping Swartz would get there, recovered by Irving.
Yeah, Wojcik, for such a big frame and stature, he has some very good footwork, you know, a nice left foot, a lot of quality, able to hold up the ball very well. Just like to see him be a little bit more in the central, where he's able to make more things happen in goal-scoring areas rather than finding himself out wide on the left a number of times in his first half. Now this is where Coach Nielsen's in a difficult situation, where he has to decide whether he allows his team to continue to drop off and then now allow Ottawa to keep possession of the ball and keep building confidence by passing move it, or does he tell them to go higher and try to put more pressure on the ball in deeper areas?
Talk with the Otto coaching staff. They described the differences between teams in the East, not only surfaces and locales and dealing with going up and across the border and such.
Yeah.
But even Nikola Popovich goes, Pittsburgh will press you in the toilet. You know, Red Bull, it's all the time. And
yeah.
You know, Hartford has a couple gears, but more often than not, they like to be compact and try to not get unbalanced. And right now it looks like Ottawa's just trying to get them unbalanced a little bit.
And I think what you find more so, especially this time of year, the temperatures and the climate has a huge impact on the way teams are able to pressure and play. You know, earlier in the season when the temperature's a little bit cooler, you find teams are able to press higher up just because the temperature allows them to be more aggressive and intense in the way they approach their game. But as it gets hotter, you know, you really have to pick and choose your times and go in little patches. You know, press for 5 minutes and drop off for 5 minutes to allow yourself to be able to sustain a high level of play throughout 90 minutes.
Spoken like a guy who's been living in Miami. It's all fun and games when it's 60 out. Everyone can press when it's 60.
Try when it's 30 in London. It's either press or freeze.
Francois. Gadula unsettling Hartford himself. Lee getting tripped up. Fans Hartford Athletics next home match is Saturday, June 1st, and it's $1 hot dog night. Single game tickets start at $10. 3-game flex plans start at $25. Get your tickets today. HartfordAthletic.com. Call the Hartford Athletic ticket office or email tickets@hartfordathletic.com for more information.
And there you see some of that frustration coming out from Swartz there. You know, his team's had good chances in the first half, and they find themselves down. The last 5 minutes, you've not really seen the same team that we saw in the opening 20 minutes. And it's only for the players, the ones that are capable of going out there and picking themselves up and taking this game by the scruff of the neck.
More Sam driving into Logan Gadula.
There we spoke about the goalkeepers who have become defensive midfielders. Fantastic pass there from the keeper. 60 yards driven straight into the player's chest.
Hartford's lost possession again. Angulo had a pretty decent idea there.
The problem when your team drops and has a deep defensive line is that even when you win the ball, you're still a long way away from goal. You know, when you take the line higher and you press higher at the field, your forwards are able to win the ball in dangerous situations where within 2 or 3 strides they're in an area where they can create a goal scoring opportunity. When you win the ball very deep around the halfway line, you still have half the field to go before you get to goal to create something to happen. And that's what Hartford have to decide right now. You know, are they going to be aggressive or remain passive for the remainder of this first half?
Hartford Athletic fans, be sure to let us know who's your Cigna man of the match on Twitter. You can use the hashtag Cigna, M-O-T-M.
See, and now you're seeing Hartford are doing a good job possessing the ball also, but they're possessing the ball in the defensive third. When you're a goal down, you know, that's not necessarily going to get you back in the game. The midfielders are getting the ball and only playing backwards passes. When you're Ottawa and you're leading the game 1-0 and you're no rush to score, that's all well and good, you know, you can play that way. But when you're chasing the game, you need your midfielders to pick up the ball and being able to turn and play forward. And we've just seen Hartford possessing the ball without their midfielders trying to penetrate and play forward passes, possibly possessing in an area that's counterproductive to get themselves back into the game.
Well, Gagnon LaPerre, driven down by Swartz. Looks like the Ottawa kitman has followed the concept you were looking for. It's just G-LaPerre on his back, which is a man for your heart.
Yeah, you have to give Swartz credit, you know. A lot of endeavour and passion when he's chasing down and closing down the ball. He created a chance for himself earlier in the game that came off the inside of the post with that same endeavour, you know. Probably wants to see more of that from his teammates to get themselves back into this game, because that's exactly what it's going to take.
Deflected up. Karinga with a push. Ottawa last year 10th in the East out of 16. The East has expanded, so too is the playoff field. 10th will get you in this year into the play-in game. Last year saw Ottawa finish 7 points out of playoff position. Team whose very future at times has been unstable as league sanctioning has altered the direction of their franchise. There's some players they were looking at this year that they felt they weren't able to grab. They're waiting to see how things would progress with the Canadian Premier League. Ottawa sticking in the USL Championship.
Yeah, and I think it's good for the league to have that global footprint, you know, to have the cross between some US teams and some Canadian teams. Ottawa, who one of the better teams in this league, you know, it'd be a shame to ever have to see them to leave the league, because they provide a lot of quality and entertainment. They keep the standard very high, and they're good ambassadors for the league in general.
And you know, you talk with whether it's Julian de Guzman, who's been around the block and certainly has made a name for himself over time. Well, this is a bad turnover. Francois on that in a moment. Francois cutting it across, handled by Douay. But they're very proud of being Canadian. They want to have a Canadian footprint. Swartz going the other way. Drops back, Wojcik. Wojcik going for goal. He lobbed it over the crossbar.
And that play is kick-started by the goalkeeper. Fantastic delivery forward. Swartz does well to get it under control. And we spoke about Wojcik and having very good feet for a big guy. You know, I know that he can get those on target, and the keeper will be happy to see that one go over the crossbar.
For Ottawa, it's been, we need a culture. When the new coach got there last year, he felt like there was no culture.
Yeah.
The guys weren't buying in. He's got core principles that he's tried to install, and at the same time, he's trying to showcase this good Canadian talent pool.
Yeah, and I think when you're a coach and you can have 14, 15 players who buy into the same principles, the same values, the same beliefs, then you're able to create a good team. I think when you inherit a team, and you know you inherit players and their beliefs or their culture may not coincide with what the coach is trying to create, it can be very difficult at that stage to try and impose yourself as a coach and put your own signature on the team. You know, I think he's able to do that now, and he believes in these players, and these players in turn believe in the coach, and that's why they're being so successful right now.
So I'm sure at some point you've been in a toxic locker room and you've been in an all-time great locker room.
Yeah, you know, you look at the strength of characters, you look at the good leaders that you have in the players. You know, the coach has his responsibility to build the team, but there's also players that have to take responsibility for the team also. And I think he's got some good leaders in his team that hold everybody accountable to the decisions that they make both on and off the field. And I say off the field because the decisions that players make off the field can have a huge effect on what happens on the field too.
Covered by Manella. Tonight's telecast presented by Barberino Nissan, Hartford and Ottawa Fury, USL Championship regular season match in Connecticut. Gadula. Big thumbs up from Francois. Douay lost his footing as well in the process.
You just wonder if at halftime Coach Nielsen will make some tactical changes. Playing a 4-4-2 against a 4-3-3 when you're down, you know, you can see Ottawa are able to possess the ball a lot because they have more bodies in and around the midfield. Makes it very hard for in a 4-4-2 formation. It'll be interesting to see if he changes to allow the midfielders to get some help and really put more pressure in trying to win that ball back.
Morsan, the goal scorer. There's a collision between heads between Barnathan and Wojcik. And both players will be looked at by the athletic training staffs. For those who haven't followed the news closely, USL Championships President Jake Edwards, among those being quite vocal about the USL's plan to submit potential rule changes related to head injuries moving forward.
I don't think it was the most vicious clash of heads that we've seen, but there was definitely some connection there. You know, both players definitely going down, look a little bit dazed. Hopefully neither of them are suffering from concussion because, you know, we'd like to see both of them continue this game.
Wojcik's up and about. You've been around this game long enough that I'm sure there's some opinion that there's talk of allowing a player off, allowing a potential fourth sub on until that player's ruled out, and that player would have to leave. Or allowing a player out for 10 minutes and then allowing them back on. What do you make of all that?
I don't think the 10-minute rule is efficient because if a player suffers from concussion, they actually have to be out for 3 weeks. Yeah. You know, I've been in situations where a player has been concussed, they come back to training Tuesday and they feel completely fine, but the athletic trainer tells them they're not allowed to permit an exercise for 3 weeks. You know, this is a huge change in the game where, you know, players used to play through every single injury unless their leg was physically broken, they literally couldn't run. Concussion never used to be something that a player used to really leave the field for unless they physically, you know, were incapable of carrying on, myself included. You know, there's games I've played and I know now looking back, there's no chance that I wasn't concussed. But, you know, with the science-backed theory that there is behind the game now and lawyers and people able to sue, you know, they really have to be careful in the care that they're taking of players, and especially for their post-playing careers. You know, you don't want to get a head injury while you're playing and have to live the rest of your 30, 40 lives because of a bad decision to continue playing through a game with concussion. So, you know, I'm all for the rule changes that benefit the health of players through their prolonged careers.
Well, both are cleared to return. Like you said, that was probably not the most vicious knock between heads, but it's just so tough to tell.
Yeah.
Speared up toward Dalgard, who's making a long horizontal dragging run.
And Hartford have definitely gone a little bit flat compared to the Hartford that we saw in the first 15 minutes of the game. You know, I think Jimmy Nielsen now will want to get them into half-time without conceding another goal and try to get them to regroup and see how they can attack this game again in the second half.
Howarth will not be denied, won a throw. So do you think it's tactical? For instance, Jimmy Nielsen in Oklahoma City, probably known best for the 4-3-3.
Yeah.
Is that a better way to try and move forward?
Definitely, but I think there's also an element of psychology.
Well, struck on a line, deflected away from Ward.
There's an element of psychology that creeps in when you go down a goal. In terms of the players start to think, okay, here we go again. You know, and he needs to try and get that out of their head in the locker room at half time and re-G them up so they can come out with the same intensity and passion and endeavour that they had in the opening 15 minutes of the game, because we've seen that it's there. They were able to create chances, they were able to be dominant, they were able to possess the ball. They just didn't convert those chances and make them count. But we know this in there. But of course, you cannot win a 90-minute game by only performing for just 15 minutes. So plenty more of this game still to come.
see just how direct and aggressive Hartford wants to be here. Jorgensen.
Just overhit that directly straight into the keeper's hands. Very comfortable for him to deal with. And you see, he's in no rush to get this ball back into play. He just killed the time off now till half-time for Ottawa to take this lead and go in with the upper hand.
To be fair, if I had Wojcik standing 5 feet in front of me, I wouldn't be kicking the ball at him either. Oh, Wojcik knocks it ahead. Swartz pushing onward. Another ricochet. Here's Giguère in the middle of it. Back now. Mass Jorgensen has created the space. Sends the service, caught by Irving. Haven't seen any attack look that good in, what, 24 minutes?
Yeah, and again, it's Swartz, you know, of his passion. He plays like the Tasmanian devil, you know. He doesn't give up on anything. Even when it looks like he doesn't have a chance anymore, he keeps going, and as a result of that, he can make things happen out of nothing. And that's the kind of passion and determination that you need replicated throughout the whole squad.
Play will come back. It's not this action that drew the referee's whistle. Coringa and Kevin Oliveira from Verde International.
Yeah, you just want the team captains to get involved with it. There's 2 minutes to half-time. The last thing you want is somebody to get a silly yellow or red card in this situation just before the break. Just calm things down, get the players into the locker room, and regroup at half-time.
They seem to have cleaned this up now. So that was the foul behind the play that actually drew the whistle.
There wasn't anything really malicious in it. It was just handbags and purses.
Well, there's the yellow card you were talking about.
Yeah, it's the last thing you need to get booked 30 minutes into extra time of the first half. Completely unnecessary.
Martin's second yellow of the season. I think right now Ottawa's saying, probably use an extra minute. Martin and Howarth, both players with great renown. Martin on loan from Minnesota United. Howarth been around the block with this Ottawa team.
There was nothing really malicious in the tackle whatsoever. You know, there's nothing that warrants this level of stoppage for the altercation that just took place. You know, put the ball down, let's get on with the game, get into half-time.
This was, if it was 90 seconds that this has been stopped, that's probably 50 seconds too many.
Yeah.
Well, if you're Hartford, you better defend this well.
Exactly. The danger is of long stoppages is that players can switch off and lose concentration.
Here comes Dalgard. The numbers are about even. Dalgard slipping through. Wojcik gets out of his reach. Irving comes off his line in the nick of time.
Nice idea. It would have been the perfect time for Hartford to get themselves the equalizer. Fantastic break. Just a little bit overhit with that through ball, but I think not long left now before the referee blows this whistle for halftime.
Yep, there's the whistle. As Canio La Perret, a foul. And while we've gone past the 2 minutes, all that stoppage right at the beginning of added time will likely allow Hartford to at least finish this attack off.
Yeah, if I was Hartford, I'd be putting this into the box and see if they can create a goal-scoring opportunity with these last 30 seconds.
Gadula.
I don't think they quite realise that there's 30 seconds to go, and instead of putting the ball forward, they're making passes around the defence, which doesn't make sense. But
Chris, halftime now. Ottawa scores in the 22nd minute. You could say this really was a tale of two halves.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we spoke about the opening 15 minutes, how aggressive and confident Hartford looked coming off the back of 2 wins, but the last 30 minutes after Ottawa took the lead, you know, we saw a completely different Ottawa. We saw that team that give us the reason why they're top of the league. With a fantastic finish from Sam with his left foot on the volley, drilled into the bottom corner. Ottawa going to half-time with a 1-0 lead.
Well, Pratt & Whitney Stadium is welcomed a solid crowd again tonight, and Hartford's got work to do if they're to make it 3 straight wins over all competitions. We'll tell you why Hartford still has everything to play for. We'll show you the best of from the last week, a winning week for Hartford, as well as highlights and stats. Ottawa gets another goal from their leading man, Moore Sam. It's Ottawa 1, Hartford 0 at the half. Back shortly after this. Well, the rain should be holding off another couple hours. Ottawa Fury have certainly hit the on switch. A 1-goal lead over Hartford Athletic at halftime with Chris Nurse, Mike Watts. Great last week for Hartford Athletic. Not only did they beat the historic New York Cosmos in the U.S. Open Cup, they went on the road, won at Audi Field in D.C. against Loudoun United. Let's take a look at some of the very best highlights from the week that was.
Good ball in. Opportunity here for Hartford. The effort from Swartz. Harry Swartz gets Hartford Athletic off and running. Jorgensen at the near post, and it's in. Mats Jorgensen. Hartford Athletic hang on for their first ever U.S. Open Cup win.
Angulo's got the slot inside. It's Jose Angulo in a save. Angulo's second effort, and there it is. Hartford have struck first. Low cross, Angulo's got it on his left, and it's his second.
Brilliant strike. Give it to Angulo. He can score goals.
And that's it. Hartford Athletic have their first win in league play.
Exactly what the doctor ordered. And so you're saying there's a chance. A goal differential right now is irrelevant, right? It's still May, but you get a win here, all of a sudden you're level on points for 16th, and you can start to see a road back into playoff contention, the top 10.
Yeah, we're approaching 1/3 into the season now, and now's really going to be the time, if you're going to start to pick up points and make a push for the playoffs, that you really need to start hitting your form in. You know, minus 18, bottom of the table. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for Hartford if they don't really start to pick up some points over the next 3 games.
Yeah, these home games are absolutely massive. 4 in a row for Hartford in total, and this crowd trying to get this side moving in the right direction. That Nashville game is a special one as well. Father's Day. There's tickets available 2 tickets for the price of 1 using the code HAFDAY, HAFDAY, when they purchase, or HartfordAthletic.com/tickets. But that's a tough schedule.
Yeah, it's a very tough schedule. You know, we spoke about this. This is a new team, but more than anything, they want to start to build a winners culture, because the fans want to support a winning team. You know, it's very important in the early stage that you pick up wins so the fans can buy into what you're building. No fan wants to be associated, obviously, with a team if they're losing, whether it's a new team or an older team. So all part of that vision to building, they need to become successful both on and off the pitch, and they have the tools to do it. You know, we saw it in the opening 15 minutes of the game. We just need them to be more ruthless and clinical in the final third, and I think they can be okay.
Well, everyone on the field right now trying to get that ball in the net. Hartford's in the same vein. It's 1-0 to Ottawa. Got plenty more halftime coming up.
And now Phoenix coming out the other way. Junior Fleming's leading the charge. Numbers forward for Phoenix. John trying to go back for Flemings. Flag stays down, back across, solo!
We're underway right off the bat. Here's Justin Dillon moving up the middle. He's going to push that ball wide toward Gonzalez. Gonzalez, a first touch cross back inside for Dillon, and a goal! Less than 10 seconds!
Poku slicing through. Quadro Poku scored! Tejada again!
Lomas kicks it to his right, crosses it underneath Miller, and it's knocked away. Spangenberg deflects it, laying out and making the save.
It's a great save again. Acquired a backstage pass. Doyle recovers. Aduro 1-0.
Ready to go to work to the byline, crossing in. It's a goal! Again, Jerome Kiesewetter.
It's Braider! What a hit!
Here's the leg trick. Into the box, a strike, and a goal.
Kiesewetter knocked away by Zell.
What a save for Brian Myers.
The most dangerous player, perhaps in USL League One. Pepe curls! Ricardo Pepe, brilliance!
Looking to get that right foot off for an incredible one-handed save by Kevin Silva.
Developing situation, Jones. Jones on the move. Jones with a shot! Rips it off the right post. Another opportunity, and the strike is true.
JC Banks now, letting it rip from deep. What a save by Hara!
Cablante back of the net. 42nd minute.
Poland the second go, falls through, saved by Fitzgerald. Oh, what a stop.
League One and the championship are both in full swing, and Hartford in Week 12 trailing Ottawa 1-0. Rentschler Field in Connecticut. With Chris Nurse, Mike Watts, let's take a look at some news and notes from around the USL Championship. Kevon Frater scores another hat trick, leads all goal scorers with 10. The Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, 19 teams from the championship are in. Ottawa is in the Canadian Championship. Don't you just love this time of year?
One more round and they'll find themselves in the big clashes against the MLS teams. You know, that's what these teams really enter the competition to do. They want to go as far as they can, but they want that trophy night against the MLS teams. And hopefully they can get it home in their home stadiums.
And you've seen the Rowdies. They're very good this year.
Yeah, they've been pretty impressive so far this season, and they've just been strengthened a little bit by the return of Poku. You know, he hasn't played much this season. He played his first outing in the Open Cup, and, you know, he's a player who can add a lot to their roster.
Well, we've seen Cristiano Francois in this game already. You mentioned how good the Rowdies and Tenari been, but of course Angulo makes Team of the Week for picking up a brace against Loudoun.
Yeah, we haven't seen Angulo really threaten the goalkeeper so far tonight, but we know that he can have a moment in the game and really, you know, change the direction that the game is going. And, you know, it'll be interesting to see if his team can get him on the ball and get him in front of goal where he can put the ball into the back of net, because in this opening half we've not really seen him threaten the keeper.
And Kiesewetter up there, remember the Jurgen Klinsmann days? He was with the U.S. national team. El Paso will find themselves in action this week against Portland Timbers 2 here tonight. New Mexico is back in action tonight as well, top of the West. There's some action tomorrow as well. Which game do you like?
I mean, Fresno have been a team in a surprising team. They surprised a lot with the form that they've been in so far this season. A few experienced veterans in their team, but, you know, they're making some noise down there.
All these games available on ESPN+, as well as this one tonight across the United States. So it is halftime in this Eastern Conference clash between Hartford and Ottawa. We'll have highlights from the first half coming up after this. Ottawa Fury, Hartford Athletic, 1-0 at halftime. Hartford fans hoping there's a comeback afoot. Ottawa certainly feels good after these last 30 minutes of play. Let's take a look at first half highlights. And early on, Hartford getting into the final third with increasing confidence. Swartz hitting the bottom of the post.
Yeah, we spoke about Swartz and his endeavor, his passion, determination. They created that opportunity for himself, and very unlucky to see that one come back off the upright.
Then Jorgensen going from distance, letting fly.
Yeah, strong strike there. You saw the keeper scrambling across his goal line. He had him worried, but he'd have been grateful to see that one go just wide of the post.
So a couple good chances early, and then, well, Ottawa gets it going the other way. It's Francois curling a ball across. Not a good enough clearance, and more Sam, when you're in form, those fall pretty kindly.
Yeah, fantastic technique. That's not an easy finish, but we spoke about Ottawa having that moment of brilliance, and there it was. A left-footed volley struck perfectly into the bottom corner of the goal.
22nd minute, and Ottawa would change their fortunes entirely after that. More Sam has scored in 3 straight games, points in 4 straight games. All winning efforts so far for Ottawa in that span. That's one of the better chances in the latter 15 minutes of the half.
Yeah, we spoke about Wojciech having great feet, a good running behind, but that's probably the closest we've seen Angulo come to scoring in that first half. You know, a fairly quiet first half for him. He'd be looking to have more chances in the second half.
Wojciech trying from beyond the 18-yard box. That's where about half the shots came from for Hartford in that first 45 minutes. So coming out of the dressing room, what do you want to see from Hartford change in order to get back on the board here?
I think they have to return to that intensity. I think they have to try to get possession of the ball again, because they didn't have a lot of possession of the ball in the last 30 minutes of the first half. They have to go back to the opening stages where they're creating goal-scoring chances at will, but more so than anything, they need to be clinical in the end of them in front of goal.
Hartford will move left to right on your screen in the second half. Ottawa trying to climb the standings. Off to the best start in franchise history, and not by a small margin. Off to a fine start again. As it stands now, live standings, they would be in 4th at the end of the night, just by goal differential. Here we go, second half. Tonight's telecast presented by Barberino Nissan. Ottawa 1, Hartford 0.
And that speaks about the strength of the league. You know, for Ottawa to have one of the best starts they ever had in franchise history and still to only be in 4th position speaks about the kind of competitors they're up against in this division.
Total passes in the first half, Ottawa 290. I've heard coaches describe a good Premier League game as having 1,200. Wojcik over the course of a game between the two teams. Ottawa's playing at that level.
Yeah, and when you're in the lead, that stat, you know, it matters. If they were losing and they had 290 passes, you know, it wouldn't really count for anything because maybe the passes are sideways and backwards and not really allowing them to create goal scoring opportunities. But, you know, the fact that they've managed to take the lead and keep possession of the ball, moving the ball well, you know, knocking up the pass count, you know, it reeks very well for the type of football, that soccer that they're trying to play and the style that they're trying to play.
Thrown in by Dalgard. Cleared by Barnathan. Dalgard on the ground. He put it in! Hartford levels it less than 2 minutes out of halftime.
What a start for Hartford. You know, we spoke about the first half, how they started aggressively and didn't make their chances count. We've seen them come out at the start of the second half in the same manner, but this time Dalgard's made it count with a fantastic drive into the bottom corner of the goal.
His first for Hartford Athletic.
And I think this is exactly what the neutrals want to see. Now, you know, it's opened up the game. That'll be a kick in the face to Ottawa, a game that they very much thought they were in control of, now find themselves tired. And that might just been the goal that Hartford needed to reinstill that confidence back into them, to get them to go push on in the second half. Exactly the kind of response that Jimmy Nielsen would have wanted after his halftime team talk.
And if you're Callum Irving, you're going, seriously? There was a ton of traffic there, and that's perfectly slotted.
Yeah, the last thing Ottawa wanted to do is concede 90 seconds into the beginning of the second half.
Game on, 1 goal apiece.
You know, we spoke about the league standings, and despite Hartford finding themselves down at the bottom, you know, there are signs that they may necessarily not finish off the season in the same position.
Well, the crowd likes this Dalgard guy.
Yeah, you know, and that's an important factor in the second half. They need the crowd to really get behind them and be that 12th player for them.
Well, if you're Ottawa, you've got a lot of options here.
Yeah,
Howarth could go for goal. He could try and curl it over the top.
Exactly. We've seen Hartford, who seems to be the set-piece specialist for Ottawa, you know, capable of delivering very dangerous balls into the box or having strikes on target himself, and it's going to be interesting to see who takes this. It looks like Sam's very interested in taking it himself, but I would go with the right footer in this situation.
Well, there are the fans hopping up and down once again. Will it be Howarth or Sam? Howarth off the top of the wall. Wall fall, I think. Looking more wall than fall. Swartz took a knock for it, and fall's gone into the book.
Yeah, referee wasn't impressed with what he saw there. Decided to give the ball a yellow card, but can now see that sense of confidence coming back into Hartford now, where they look like they had the wind kicked out of them in the first half. You see them start the second half with a bit more passion and endeavour.
Swartz fighting his way through.
Yeah, he doesn't give up on anything.
We were told it was a total regen day for him in training on Friday. Nothing else. Even on Thursday, Swartz tried to slide the shot through.
And you can completely understand why. He doesn't do anything half-hearted. Everything he does is 100%. You know, and that's why he's probably told that he had to have that day off.
You think about it, they trialed him for 3 or 4 days, Swartz was extended another 10 to 12 days from the Boston area. The Boston Bolts Academy set up, and by the time they were done with that, they went, yeah, we want this guy. We want him around all the time.
Yeah, he displays a lot of characteristics that any team would want to replicate. You know, hard-working, passionate, never gives up. You know, any team wants that kind of player and needs that kind of player in their team.
33 in green tonight out of Needham, Massachusetts. Went to Northeastern, got injured at the Combine, and that sort of gave Hartford a leg up to try and grab a guy from the New England area that probably would have been drafted otherwise. DeWitt pings it forward.
Definitely a lot more intent in the way that Hartford are approaching this. You know, they're playing a little bit more direct in the opening stages of the second half. You know, choosing to play a little bit more longer ball rather than the shorter backwards and sideways passes they adopted in the first half. And it's proved off to start them well in the second half. They managed to get the equalizing goal.
After a short game of hacky sack, comes to Howarth. Big tug from Karinga.
Yeah, definitely a foul there.
That's
smart foul. I think it was a smart foul. You know, he knew that Francois was about to take off and leave him behind, so just held him back to give his teammates a chance to get back behind the ball, and got away with it because the referee didn't give him a yellow card. So it was actually an intelligent foul, if there is such a thing.
I'm looking at you holding out my imaginary yellow card, going, "Where is this?"
Yeah.
Let Francois get to the races, and he could outrun just about anybody.
Yep.
Except for you.
Still a quiet night so far for Angulo. We're wondering if he's going to have one of them magical moments.
You were describing in the first half the balls by Dalgard from the wing that Angulo has to understand where he likes to put it and drag his runs in those directions.
Yep.
Is that as much as you want to see from Angulo, or is it being further up the field?
I mean, he's the forward, so his teammates have to find him. And you can see him here making runs behind, but they have to get him the ball. He can make all the runs that he wants. If he doesn't get the service, his chances of scoring are limited.
Well done by Angulo to keep this alive. Swartz, the initial bit of running. There's Angulo. Flicks it over the top. Swartz. Oh, ball ricocheted off the ground, hit Swartz, and rolled out for a goal kick.
Yeah, beautiful little chip there for Angulo, but you want to see him in the box. You don't want to see him providing the assist. You want to see him getting in the end of the assist. So, you know, I'm sure his coach is telling him, hey, get yourself into the box where the players can find you.
Angulo won the league MVP back in 2013 in Pittsburgh. 15 goals, 23 games.
Yeah, but I believe the last 2 goals that he scored, one of them was his 50th career goal in the USL. So, you know, he's a proven goal scorer. You know, if you leave him unmarked for a moment inside the box, he can punish you.
Karinga hasn't made friends with that.
Yeah. I think it's too impressive in kicking that ball into the crowd.
It's Barnathan here, making his 8th start of the season. In Ottawa's 10th game of the year. They've got games in hand on most everybody. By the way, our congratulations. Yale men's lacrosse are into the national championship as they'll face Virginia. Great for the state of Connecticut. Yale is some kind of powerhouse.
Were you ever a lacrosse player?
Never.
Me neither.
No. You're good with your feet at least. I don't have, there's no physical talent here. Oh, that's great from Lee. Lee playing it through. It's out of the reach of Wojcik.
Yeah, and we don't want to see Hartford fall back into that position of good breaks, good attacking plays, and not making it count. You know, that was a fantastic opportunity there to get a goal-scoring chance, but you know, nothing came off the end of it. A fantastic drive, fantastic little bit of skill, but there wasn't very much end product as a result of that.
Canio Lapere couldn't get it away. Swartz, couldn't find Wojcik on that dragging run. Came out to Manella, but recovered by Dalgard. Nodding it forward, Dalgard has options.
I don't know if he chose the right one. I don't know if he chose the right option in that situation. There are two players at the edge of the 6-yard box screaming for him just to lay that ball back, and they would have been able to slide in back of the net. I'm not sure if he's gone for goal or if he's tried to slide that ball across the box for his teammate. But again, we see Swartz here in his hard work creating that a little bit better quality needed in that final pass. But Dalgard here we see drives into the box, gets his head up. Two players on the edge of the 6, and I think he goes for goal to put that one into the bottom corner himself there. And I'm sure he would like to have that one back.
By the way, one more step on this Yale lacrosse going to the national championship. Final score 21-17 over Penn State. They were up 10-2 in the first quarter. Goodness gracious, that is something else. A Memorial Day classic in the Northeast. Swartz again.
Causing havoc down here on this side of the pitch.
Boston College, Maryland, Women's Lacrosse National Championship. A little Northeast flavor to that too.
And we're almost seeing a replication of the first half here, where Hartford had come out as the better team. You know, if you were to be just switching on, you were wondering who was higher up in the standings, you'd say Hartford right now. But what I like about Ottawa is that there's no panic from them. Despite being under pressure and, you know, conceding that goal, Hartford having their better play, they really don't seem like they're panicking. They seem like calm and confident, like almost like they believe in themselves, that they know they can change the fortunes of this game.
They're clever on the ball, aren't they? I mean, you would think a team with 9 losses in 11 games would be gun shy, however you want to put it. I don't see that at all.
No, and I think only as
Sam, ball struck by Gagnon Lapere, and Hartford trying to send it the other way. Nobody's back there.
Yeah, and there you see the danger. Despite Ottawa being, you know, on the ropes and on the back foot for the past 15 minutes, they're able to create a goal-scoring chance out of nothing. And if it wasn't for a good block there, they might have got themselves a second goal in this game. But that's what Hartford have to be careful of. They're very dangerous on the counter-attack.
Manella. Gagnon Lapere moving from midfield to that left back role. Couldn't unleash Francois.
And I think, you know, we always look at the format of the way the game is in the USL with the playoffs and the regular season. I think with this kind of coach and the culture that he's coming from and the experience that he has, I think his goal is regular season champions. You know, he wants to be judged by what he does week in, week out. Despite, you know, it very much being all about the playoffs. You know, being able to be that team who's performed excellently in every game over the course of 9-month season is what this coach aspires to. You know, we've spoken about how much he studies, how much language he speaks, how much of a student of the game he is, you know, and we know the expectations that he sets for his team. So they expect to win every game.
Think about Ottawa. They do have those games in hand on everybody. This is just their 10th game of the year in week 12. A win here, they're just a couple points back of the Rowdies, who haven't lost yet. Ball flicked over by Wall-Fall, covered by DeWitt. Wall-Fall. Fall goes down. Sam was trying to continue the attacking action. It will be a free kick, and a yellow card's coming as well.
Yeah, and again, we may as well name it Horworth zone. You know, the set-piece specialist for Ottawa. Dangerous when it's a dead ball situation. Going to be interesting if he takes leadership over this one also. But speaking of Tampa Bay Rowdies, we know that Coach Collins is also a coach who spoke to, you know, he wants the regular season title. He wants the regular season title and he wants the playoff title. You know, he played many years in the English system, and he understands what it means to be the best team over the course of 9 months.
Look who isn't there. How about that? Howarth is absent.
He's there, but he's not there.
Yeah, he's in the background, not the forefront. Wallfall got a yellow card for his extracurriculars in the wall earlier. It's more Sam!
Oh.
Outside netting, rippled the nylon. Gave you a little heart palpitation if you're a Hartford fan.
Yeah, that was a good effort there. You can always tell whether it's a good effort or not by the reaction to the keeper. You can see how desperately he scrambled across there to try and get towards that one. A few more inches to the right and that could have crept into the bottom corner.
Although by the time Douay got there, I think he knew he was on that fly.
Had it covered.
Gagnon La Perez left a man in his wake. There's a yellow card before that free kick. It went to Sem DeVitt. Came just shy of the hour mark. Ottawa scored in the 22nd minute. And it was more Sam scoring for the third straight game, his fourth of the year. Dalgard in the 47th to level it. Swartz get around Gagnon La Perez, who's going to have to ice up after today.
Yeah, Swartz has given La Perez a torrid time today. He chases everything. You know, you can never ease up the pressure because the second you do, he's going to steal the ball away from you.
Martin. Swartz is widened out.
Look, and there's the endeavour. You know, he gave away possession, but he worked so hard to win it back, and I think he's right there remonstrating with the referee. That's definitely a Hartford ball there. La Perez kicked that one out, and very frustrating there for Swartz and Coach Jimmy Nielsen. You can see him there on the side.
I think Jimmy's emotions are tattooed on his arm, not so much on his sleeves. He's just so excited about building something of his own here in Hartford. He came into Oklahoma City and admitted he really didn't know a lot about the championship before he got there. And Hartford, he's been around the block already. He knows.
Yeah, he's very thorough in how we did our coaching licenses together. We both did the B license on the same course. So I got the chance to watch and learn him in motion while he was actually still the head coach of OKC at the time, and it was fantastic to see how he delivers, how he interacts, how methodical he is in the way he prepares his teams. So, you know, it'll only be a matter of time before they become successful in the way that they play. You know, he achieves so much as a player. You know, just anything these players can learn so much from just being around somebody like Jimmy. But, you know, I'm sure once he's able to stamp his footprint onto this whole organization, you know, there'll no doubt be a success.
Vitt steps in front. Dalgard, clever touch into space. Here he goes. There's Giguere, moves away from Angulo. Plenty of effort from Gadula. Sam, just a hair behind Oliveira. Dalgard's first touch has been notably impressive tonight. And this should come with a yellow card.
Yeah, it's definitely warranted yellow card. It's always frustrating when you see the player get the better of a defender and they pull the shirt or they pull the arm. You know, it's very frustrating to see that referee's right to brandishment with a yellow card in that situation. See him, he grabs his arm, pulls his shoulder.
Karinga. Well, this will work out to a Hartford corner.
They always say that goalkeepers are crazy. They always try to make you believe. I don't know if it's true, if it's fact or not. I kind of agree, maybe.
Yeah, I'll admit it.
Well, they say anybody who stands in a goal and allows people to kick the ball as hard as they can at them, that has to be a little bit crazy. But You know, if you talk to goalkeepers, it can be a very lonely position because they can't afford to make one mistake or it's a goal. You know, there's a lot of concentration and responsibility that comes in that position.
Well, Gudula gesturing back at not only the AR but the referee. We'll talk about being on an island right now. Laurent Varga, the referee.
Yeah, the referee, a couple of dubious decisions in the past 5 minutes. But I think he's done a decent job officiating the game so far, up until the 65th minute. He's got the most of the decisions spot on.
Ray Lee out of St. Louis University, the Kansas City Academy. KC native. Deflected away. Lee.
Ooh, dangerous looking cross into the box there.
Mergier slid away.
Yeah, I think that's an unjustified reputation goalkeepers have. I don't think they're all crazy. Just some.
Just some. But I'd agree. There's got to be at least one screw loose up there. I've never put my face on the line like that.
They have a union. They call it the goalkeepers union.
Yeah.
They say only goalkeepers can understand goalkeepers.
And Hartford's got a really good one at the helm. Sam. Well, there's room here to unleash for a wall fall.
Ooh.
Instead, finding the open man, Sam on the cutback. Right at the feet of Douay. The follow-up is crossed, but the flag is up.
Yeah, some fantastic feet there from both Sam and from Fall. Chop goes with his right foot this time. He scored the goal with his left foot. A fantastic ability, showing that he's capable of striking the ball well with both feet. Keeper was equal to the save on this occasion, though. Keeping the score tied at 1-1 going into the last 25 minutes of this second half.
Hey, Hartford Athletic fans, still time. Let us know your Cigna man of the match on Twitter. Use the hashtag Cigna MOTM. I think a late winner would usurp the voting if we should get there.
Yeah, I think whatever changes Coach Newsom made it's worked so far in the second half for Hartford. You know, they've been very much equal to Ottawa in the second period of this game so far. You know, I think after the first 15 minutes in the first half, Ottawa showed that class. They showed that they were playing as the more superior team, but the second half, that's not been the case so far.
You're saying Jimmy Nielsen is the man of the match? Manella leading ball. Vita Francois. Bouncing off Gudula by Lee. Francois got the cross away. Recovered by Douay.
Dangerous looking ball there. Keeper done very well to deal with it. Confident there. Just interesting to see. He's had that ball for probably close to 10 seconds there. The referee's not called him, considering the goalkeeper was supposed to distribute the ball in quicker than 6 seconds.
May I suggest that Wallfall running away faster could have facilitated that?
I mean, I don't think that has a bearing. I think the referee really is supposed to enforce that rule on goalkeepers. They definitely push the boundaries when it comes to the time that they hold the ball in their hands.
What's with you and the goalkeeping union today? You're just letting rip.
Somebody has to put pressure on these guys every now and then.
DeVitt trying to complete the switch to Dalgard. Howarth shields this out.
Were you a goalkeeper?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We've clarified. I did not play lacrosse. I did not play soccer. In my time at Fordham, I watched the football team. I never played for the football team. Well, that's insightful. Martin gets it back. That's Colin Martin. Jorgensen. Oh, Wallfall stands him up.
Yeah, a little bit wasteful in possession there. A good spell of possession for Hartford, and just again you know, no end product at the end of it. You can hear Ottawa just content to keep the ball, you know, even though the game's tied 1-1, you know, they're content to be patient in their build-up. Just keep the ball and try to frustrate the other team and try to let the spaces create themselves organically rather than trying to force the ball forward or create situations that aren't there. You know, they're just trying to keep moving the ball quickly until the space arrives. Yeah, you can almost read the frustration in the body language of Hartford. You know, they're chasing down, goes to one side, they keep possession, they're patient, they take the ball and go to the other side, and until Hartford almost get frustrated at chasing the ball. And that's when the big spaces open up in the forward areas to try and create those goal-scoring opportunities.
And finally, Hartford does have the ball, and Karinga hit by Oliveira.
Yeah, it looks like he just caught him around the back of the Achilles there. Yeah, just tangles up with his legs there. Definitely a foul.
Karinga trying to get this right. Native of Clearwater in Florida, went to a Clearwater Central Catholic, on to FAU, then 3 years in Finland, Montreal Monarchs, and now arrives in Hartford.
And I think given going into the last 20 minutes of this game now, you know, I think Coach Nielsen will be content with a point, but he'll be hoping that they can go and get the win. You know, I think a point at this stage against a very good Ottawa team is nothing to sneer your face about. You know, they are a good team. They've had some good results. You know, they've been dominant so far this season. And Hartford are now just starting to find themselves, now starting to pick together, now starting to gel as a team. You know, I think they should obviously try to get that winning goal, but...
And Gulo, Swartz, if he was able to backset that, could have put it in the net with the goalkeeper out.
Yeah, but then again, look, we spoke earlier about Angulo and getting himself on the score sheet and being a goal scorer. You know, the areas where he's now picking up the ball is very deep and far away from goal. You know, he's not going to score goals from that area.
Yeah, he'll be a minute.
Him finding the balls in that area might be because of his frustration, because nobody's generally finding him with the ball, or, you know, getting in those positions where being the playmaker as such, he's actually having to come deep and find the ball deeper himself so he can get a touch of it.
Wojcik's rotated wide, giving Angulo the back post here. Ottawa playing very strict lines right now.
Yeah, Ottawa have dropped very deep to defend right now.
Ball off of Swartz. Well, there's room here for Karinga to get a cross away. There's the service. Headed forward and right to the goalkeepers. Dalgard trying to snap that back toward Angulo.
Yeah, and what they need to understand is that to be a good, successful team, you're going to have your spells when you're in possession of the ball and creating goal-scoring chances, but you're also going to have spells in the game where you need to defend and be able to defend well. And I think Ottawa now dropping the line and banking in, they're understanding that right now, you know, it's their spell to defend. And they need to be able to defend well, weather the storm, and then try to get themselves back into the attacking situations.
You know, both coaches use the word balance. Hartford wants to keep defensive balance, keep their line steady. Ottawa's entire game plan on the offensive end is the concept of unbalancing opposition.
Yeah, you know, you watch Ottawa, they'll hit 4, 5, 6 short passes, and then they'll try to expose Hartford with a longer pass. You know, they have some experienced players on the pitch who can take responsibility for that without the coach having to get up and remonstrate with his hands. they can understand how to control the flow and tempo of the game. You know, sometimes you see them slow it down, sometimes they speed it up, sometimes they're playing a short game, sometimes they're playing a longer game. So, you know, there's a lot of experience and understanding on the pitch of how to manage the game. And I think both teams are displaying that fairly well in the second half.
Well, change on the way with 15 minutes to play. Ottawa only traveled 5 players on their bench. Sadic is set to come on for Ottawa.
Looks like Dixon may be coming in for Schwartz.
Well, you want another guy who can run at people, make life difficult. Dixon's your man. Francois comes off for Ottawa.
Yeah, that's energy for energy, I'd say there for Hartford. You know, Dixon's a player who followed Coach Nielsen over from OKC Energy, but Schwartz, you know, had a very, very solid 75 minutes today. He gave everything he could. May have ran out of gas right now, and that's why the coach has chosen to make a change and bring on some fresh legs for the remaining 15 minutes.
There's the rest of the waiting Hartford players. Ball lined toward Wojcik. Brought down by Oliveira. Here comes Hartford. Kept in by Dixon, stabbed out. In transition.
Yeah, I don't think coach would be too impressed. Forward trying a trick that didn't quite come off, giving away possession of the ball, and very slow to get himself back into position when Hartford were counter-attacking there.
Back by Jorgensen.
I don't think there's anything wrong with players trying to express themselves and doing tricks, but when they don't come off, I think you have to be the first player that goes and chases down that ball to win it back.
You really did get your coaching license. That's coach speak if I've ever heard it. Dewey into the wind. Wojcik, well, the whistle did come. Agnew Lapere. Those two go face to face.
I'm not sure Wojcik is the first player you'd want to be going head to head with on the pitch.
Couple cool, calm, collected faces in that crowd. Are those sunglasses on at night in there? Hartford Athletic proud to welcome Stanley Black & Decker as a founding partner. You can stay tuned each week for the Stanley Innovative Play of the Game. Come up post-game here, and perhaps we haven't even seen it yet. 12 minutes to go, plus added time. Turned over to Karinga. Dixon.
Yeah, look, frustrated the Hartford players. You know, they've done very well to win the ball back. Dixon just giving it away needlessly there. He just needs to be a little bit more, take a little more care in his passing. You can see the intent of what he was trying to do, but
Gadula lost it to Sadic. And caught by Dewey.
last thing they want to do, you know, we know that Ottawa have quality in their team. And despite not having the majority of possession maybe in this second half, we know that with quality they can have one moments of brilliance as they did in the first half, and you know the score can very easily be 2-1. So it's important that they don't needlessly give away possession of the ball and they try to take the tempo of the game in these remaining 10 minutes the best that they can. I'm still waiting to see if Angulo has a moment of magic in these last 10 minutes. He's had a fairly quiet night by his own standards. You know, they'll understand as we set for him, he's had a quiet night by his own standards, but we know he's one of those players that only takes half a second to stamp his imprint on a game.
You mentioned at the outset tonight some injuries for Angulo early on, and Nielsen has told us in past weeks we've not seen his best yet. Feed of more Sam. Flag stays down. Little shimmy from Oliveira.
Yeah, Oliveira there looking at the ref for a handball. Now Dixon is on the break.
Well, he's centered himself up and given himself some options.
He was breaking there. He shouldn't have slowed down. He should have kept going. By slowing down, he allowed Ottawa to get bodies back behind the ball and eventually snuffle out the attack. Had he kept going at speed, I think he would have been able to really put them under pressure and make something happen.
Oh, more Sam, beneficiary of a turnover. Sent a ton of pace on that. Howarth on the other end. It's a bit behind Sadic. And Gadula plays it out. Tapping into the reserves. Played ahead for Angulo.
I think Angulo may have been slightly offside in that situation, but we're seeing the opportunity for Hartford to break here, but that's the second occasion that they've wasted it. You know, if they're going to counter-attack, you have to counter-attack it at speed, or essentially it's not a counter-attack. The opportunity's there to exploit Ottawa in the counter-attack, but they have to be quicker in how they do it, more decisive in decision-making.
I don't say this as a knock on Sebastian Dalgard. With all that defending in the first half, all that running, I wonder how much he's got left in the tank.
Yeah, in these final 9 minutes of the game, it's interesting. There's the opportunity to bring on some fresh legs and really go for the win, or you're looking for the experienced bodies out there to just bank in and try to ensure that you see out the game and get the point. I think the coach is leaning right now on keeping those experienced bodies out there to try and to ensure that they leave with at least a point. But you do sense that with the opportunity to break on the counter-attack here, the fresh legs also could come in handy going into the last 9 minutes of this game.
Giuseppe Gentile unavailable tonight. David Linga, the defenders, unavailable tonight. Rasmussen in midfield was a 50-50. Max Steves out with a calf. So Hartford really doesn't have their whole complement of options either. Sam ushers it through. Oliveira slips it further, and it'll come to DeVitt.
Yeah, you're definitely seeing, you know, some tired legs on the field, some tired decision making. Really, this is the stages of the game when players really get tested for their endurance and their mental capacity, because in these stages of the game, concentration is the first thing that starts to dwindle, and they're going to be the moments when you concede games. You know, very often in games, goals are conceded in the last 5 minutes, and this is the part of the game where players need to concentrate a little bit more. But speaking about Dalgard, looks like Jonathan Brown will be coming in to replace him.
End of the line for tonight's goal scorer, 47th minute. Equalizing goal.
And there we have those fresh legs in both those positions. You know, we had Swartz did a lot of running in that first half. Dalgard on the opposite flank did similar, you know, a lot of running. Now we have Brown and Dixon on similar positions to see if they can continue to play with that intensity.
Brown's first action, Wojcik for Angulo. It's a bit off the mark.
Yeah, Wojcik and Angulo, you know, they're two big target men, but Wojcik's almost having to drop deeper and almost play in that number 10 role and pick up the ball and try to thread balls for Angulo rather than being the hold-up man and being able to flick things on or play other people in from a higher position. You know, maybe that's what Hartford might be missing in this team, is a number 10 who can get in between the defence and the midfield and turn and find Angulo and Wojcik higher up the pitch.
And those guys don't grow on trees. I think that the United States in general has struggled to produce number 10s at a good enough level over the years. I think most everybody would agree on that. A tug there on Angulo. This is a foul by Charlie Ward. Free kick, Hartford. Quickly taken. Martin for Lee. Lee crossing for Angulo. Daniel LaPerre was on his back.
Yeah, Angulo almost getting onto the end of that opportunity. In a little bit careless pass there, giving away possession unnecessarily.
Green jerseys flying together. But here comes Chris Manella. Oliveira, wall fall.
I think Hartford have to be careful in this situation. You can definitely see tiredness and fatigue playing a huge part in the closing stage of this game. And as you mentioned, with a number of injuries, Coach Newsom may not necessarily have the players and the substitutions available that he would have liked on an evening when he had his full roster. But concentration, focus, discipline, organisation are going to be very, very key going into the latter stage of this game.
This will be a corner. Friedrich Douay was trying to coax a goal kick out of that.
Here's the man again, set piece specialist. Horworth over to take this corner kick.
Born in England, moved to Canada as a toddler. Supplemental draft pick once upon a time of Montreal Impact. Howarth, as Ottawa as it gets. It's caught by Douay. There wasn't much going on off the ball there, was there?
And you just want Douay to get that ball and just kill the time. You know, you can realize when your team's running out of gas and a point's going to be a good point. You know, at this stage of the game, I think that's what Hartford should realize and really ensure that they lock things down and leave this game with a point. You know, I think it's good for them to continue building. You know, that's a third game unbeaten streak against a very good Ottawa side. You know, they would have now taken points against Ladoon. They would have taken, you know, a positive win against New York Cosmos, and they would have now taken points against Ottawa. You know, that's an upward trajectory for them.
Hanakora comes on. Charlie Ward comes out. The Aston Villa and Stoke youth.
Interesting that Ottawa are bringing on a renowned centre-back in Hanakora, a very experienced player. This stage of the game, maybe they're content to take a point also, and they're just looking to lock down the remainder of these last 5 or so minutes. Wojciech was a player who, you know, I was watching the pitch. He's given everything today. For such a big guy, he's been chasing down in the flanks, closing down. You know, I think he's given a very honest shift, a lot of hard work for his team, and I think the coach made the right decision just to make that change at the right time, just to give them that little bit of fresh legs on the pitch for these closing stages.
And Nicky Downs comes on out of Lakeville, Connecticut. Went to Yale. His dad, Chris, coached him for 7 years, 8 years while he was growing up. This did get out over the byline, and Downs a little more of a midfield presence than Wojciech, who at times was slotting in there. Angulo couldn't play it ahead. Wall fall, beneficiary. Barnathan ahead. More Sam pushing off of DeVitt. Gadula collapses down.
Yeah, and closing stages now, you need your experienced players on the pitch to manage the game. You need them to manage the game, to understand, slow it down. You know, a point isn't a bad result whatsoever. Interesting to see how much added time the referee allocates in the second half. I don't think we've had too many stoppages for injury or substitutions. I'm going to gamble at 3 minutes.
Okay.
What's your gamble?
You hit right on the mark, I
3?
think. Yeah. Are we playing over under 2.5? I can take 2. Popovich is waiting to make his final move. Martin knocked down, back on the ball again. Angulo. Oh, there's Lee running up the left-hand side, didn't see him, and instead went toward Dixon.
Wasted the opportunity there as for Angulo to play that ball out to the left-hand side. He came back to the same side where the ball had just come from, ended up giving away possession.
Oh, look at this run. It does finally break down. A little extra there from Barnathan. Colin Martin.
And I think most certainly this is points gained for Hartford, but it's points dropped for Ottawa in their chase to get to the top of the table. You know, they would have expected to come here, collect 3 points and close the gap between first and fourth place and really try to push forward. On the other hand, I think it's an important point for Hartford game that Hartford have gained in their challenge to get themselves out of the lower echelons of the table.
No, Chris, I had someone say to me this week, look at what Ottawa faces. They 2 minutes at a time. Take that, Chief. But this is not the time you want to face Hartford. You want to play them, you know, 3 weeks ago when they're down on their luck.
Yeah. And as we said, you know, the way they've played, there's a lot of intent and purpose in the way that they play. The position that they are on the table doesn't necessarily reflect the way they played, the chance that they had. You know, as I said, I don't expect to see them there come the end of the season.
More Sam front running. The newly inserted Aiden Daniels off on his left.
I definitely think if they're able to find one of those golden players who can play in a number 10 role and really exploit the strengths of Angulo and Wojciech, who both capable of scoring, you know, 10 to 12 goals a season, you know, I think that could really be a changing point for them. But it's just, you know, finding that key player who, of course, buys into the philosophy and, you know, the values and the beliefs of the whole organisation.
Headed out, Gagnon LaPerre.
Of course, they have a number of injuries, so you know that player could quite be here right now, but just not available for selection.
Ottawa's banged up as well. Douay, another half minute to go here. Brown.
Ottawa seem pretty content to leave with the point also. You know, no real urgency to get the ball into play and get that winning goal going into the last 20 seconds of the game.
Is there one more chance for Hartford or Ottawa here at the death? There's not. 1 point apiece, one to the cutting room floor. 1-1 draw between Hartford and Ottawa at Rentschler Field. As the Fury do continue their climb up the east. Hartford picks up a third consecutive result, all competitions.
Yeah, I think that's Ottawa's 5th game unbeaten, Hartford's 3rd game unbeaten. You know, both teams going in a good direction.
Our man of the match is presented by Cigna. Sebastian Dalgard did yeoman's work today, got a goal to show for it.
Yeah, very important moment in the game. Early on in the second half, you know, was able to pick up that ball, drive into the box, and drew that ball into the bottom right-hand corner and get Hartford a point in this game.
Dalgard's first in Hartford colors. And Athletic come up short after having the better of play early. Failing to take advantage, watching Ottawa grab the lead, and Hartford equalizing less than 90 seconds out of halftime. We'll have your full-time highlights, and we'll wrap this one up from Rentschler Field after this. Welcome back. Taking a selfie with the fans in the stands, Sebastian Dalgard. Impressive night personally, but Hartford finishes level. First of 4 straight home games, including their match on June the 1st. Next Saturday, take on North Carolina on Dollar Dog Night. Let's take a look at tonight's innovative play of the game presented by Stanley Black & Decker. It's the goal in the 47th.
Yeah, Dalgard providing the fans with that magical moment. A lot to be excited for in the future for this franchise. You know, a very exciting team, a lot of exciting prospects, and they can only get better as the season continues.
Stanley Black & Decker, a founding partner of Hartford Athletic. Let's take a look at your full-time highlights, give you a better picture of the game at large with Chris Nurse, Mike Watts. And here's your opening goal, 22nd minute. The first 20 minutes largely belonged to Hartford.
Yeah, fantastic delivery into the box. Keeper couldn't deal with that. Fantastic left foot volley from Sam. Fantastic technique. Keeper had no chance. Drilled into the bottom left-hand corner of the goal.
Guy who spent time with Lille in France, a trialist. 3 goals coming in. 2 of those coming in the last 2 games. He's on the board again. And the Fury jump out to a 1-0 lead at Rentschler Field. But Hartford would not be denied over the long run as the fans continue to spur them onward. Dalgard not only starting this play, but ultimately finishing it.
Yeah, a lot of bodies in the box. Keeper probably didn't have the greatest view of it, but it found the bottom of the net. Important moment to get Hartford a point in this game.
In the 47th minute, just what the team was looking for out of halftime. And both sides largely split the effort after that. Ottawa, more passes. They took that lead, felt in control. The statistics otherwise look largely similar.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think this is give a fair display of what happened in the second half, because I think in the second half, Hartford were probably the dominant team. Ottawa do connect a lot of passes, but they didn't really create too many goal-scoring opportunities in the second half in comparison to the third. I think a lot of their passing was sideways and backwards, not necessarily penetrating and causing Hartford a lot of problems. Second half, I think Hartford were a very good team and a lot better than we saw in the latter stage of the first half, and deserved to get themselves back into the game with the equalizing goal.
Well, Hartford on the road next to Memphis for the Open Cup on Wednesday, then North Carolina at home on June the 1st, continuing a 4-game league homestand. The post, the crossbar, just a little bit wide. Hartford all around the net, but they can't pepper the goalkeeper. And it finishes 1 goal apiece for Chris Nurse alongside Wes Zentek, Director Jim Clark, Manny Simone, our entire Vista WorldLink crew, Mike Watts saying, thanks for watching. Ottawa continues to climb. Hartford gets a point, but it finishes tonight 1 goal apiece. Good night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.